Hello everyone, Yubel Master aka 38 the Master 1 here. What you see right now is my first deck profile for the new Yubel archetype. I have scoured the internet for everyone's builds and combined the best ideas into this deck you see here. So I'm pretty happy with the deck so far, but it's definitely not final. It's still early days for the deck and I can't wait to see what innovations people come up with for the new Yubel support. This is so exciting, and if you want more Yubel related content, then it's all here on 38 Yubel Master 1. Please do subscribe down below, cause I'll be making guides, combo videos for this very deck profile and much more, so you really don't want to miss it. If you want to learn more, tap that notifications bell to make sure you never miss an upload. Okay, so let's quickly explain my choices here. I put Triple Lotus because it's our starter, Triple Spirit of Yubel because it searches, and here's the interesting choice, 2 Yubels, because sometimes you can get 2 on the field when you're comboing. I see a lot of people running 1 and I understand why, but personally I like 2 to have 2 on the field, which it does come up sometimes. Similar with Terra Incarnate and Ultimate Nightmare. Most people do run these, but I do see 1 or 2 builds actually cutting these out, which is quite interesting. I definitely understand why, because these can be a brick because those decks usually focus more on the super poly strategy with the trap, which requires Yubel to be on the field, and usually when you're using super polymerization or the trap card effect, you're usually sending Yubel to the graveyard, which doesn't actually summon Terra Incarnate. So I understand why people cut it, but personally I like to keep it in because I don't actually think it's a dead draw. With cards like Grinder Golem and Nightmare Pain, where you can use Terra Incarnate and Ultimate Nightmare if you have nothing else in the hand, they aren't completely dead, and there are ways to use them as discard fodder. For example, this is a discard, this is also a discard. So unlike older versions of the deck, this doesn't actually always end up being a brick. I think it's worth having the option of evolving into Terra Incarnate or Ultimate Nightmare if you end up destroying Yubel, because Ultimate Nightmare can do some damage and Terra Incarnate can wipe the field if you don't have Super Poly. So next we have a single Grinder Golem because it can be searched and loops from the grave, so I only have 1. 3 Nightmare Pain because it can also be a starter, so you need 3 of them. 2 Mature Chronicle. I used to run 1 because I thought, oh, it's searchable, so you only really need 1, and it's not really a starter. But when comboing, it's not too bad drawing it because it means you don't actually have to search it. So usually during the combo, you either search for Grinder Golem if you're going second, or you search for Eternal Favorite when you go first. I run 2 Eternal Favorites. I can see why people only play 1, but playing 2 is worth it in my opinion, and maybe even 3 is okay too. This is because if you ever have 2 on the field, you can actually activate both of the effects and use one of each of them because of the way the first line of the text is worded. Also, a quick tip for using it, because the Super Poly effect reads and send this face up card to the graveyard, it means that it has to be face up already before you can chain the second effect. So you cannot activate the second effect the moment you flip it, you actually have to activate the trap first during your opponent's draw phase or something, so that it's ready to chain whenever you need it. Next we have Triple Super Poly because it's the best card in the deck. Interestingly, we have 3 Dark Beckoning Beast and 3 Opening of the Spirit Gates. So this is quite synergistic with the engine. Opening of the Gates can special summon Yubel from the graveyard, triggering Spirit of Yubel's effect, and it can also give you extra discard fodder by returning continuous spells to the graveyard. So for example, if you start with a Opening of the Spirit Gates and then add a Dark Beckoning Beast to your hand, you can normal summon the Dark Beckoning Beast, add a second Opening of the Spirit Gates, and now this second Opening of the Spirit Gates is basically free discard fodder, because you can add it back to your hand with the effect of opening Spirit Gates as well when you control a level 10 monster, which will be either Spirit of Yubel or Yubel. So this is essentially free discard fodder and really helps with the engine because a lot of cards do discard. Next up we have 2 Pot of Desires. This actually works pretty well with Mature Chronicle because Mature Chronicle can actually search things that are also banished face down. So if you activate Pot of Desires and you have Mature Chronicle and you end up getting 3 counters on it during your combo, this essentially is a free search because with 10 cards from your deck, there's a high chance that you have something in the banish pile that you want. So Pot of Desires is pretty good, and thanks to one of the YouTube comments that tipped me up for that. I did used to run Pot of Extravagance in here because the extra deck I didn't think is quite necessary to have everything in, and Pot of Extravagance did work out pretty well so far, but Pot of Extravagance does clash a little bit with Piri Rias map, so I think Pot of Desires is definitely the better choice. 1 for 1 and 3 Piri Res map, because this is essentially 4 additional copies of Lotus, which remember is the deck starter, so this is really good. And definitely half your life points is worth it, trust me. Onto the hand traps and non-engine stuff, we have 3 Nibiru, because the token can actually be beneficial for Yubel. Nibiru is pretty much the most synergistic hand trap for the deck. And we have Ash Blossom, because it's really good, and Called by the Grave, because this deck can be shut down by a single hand trap. Like if your opponent Ash Blossoms your regenerating Lotus, sometimes you just have no other follow-up. So that's the main deck. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. As for the extra deck, this is something that definitely needs a little more work. It doesn't seem like anyone else has come to a solid decisions on what exactly is best for the new Yubel. But what I can say for sure is that you need at least 2 of the new fusion card, but I like putting in 3 just in case. The other extra deck card that is pretty much essential for this deck will be Muckraker from the Underworld. It's awesome because she can summon Yubel. Next up we have the Salamangreat Link 1 monster. This actually came up for me once because if you don't have a way to get Lotus in your hand and you only have the Dark Beckoning Beast, but you have a Spirit of Yubel and no way to special summon it, you can normal summon Dark Beast, add the opening of the Spirit Gates, and the effects to discard 1 card and special summon a fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your graveyard, you can only use that when you have targets in the grave. So with nothing in the grave, you can't actually discard Spirit of Yubel to summon itself. So in order to get Dark Beckoning Beast in the grave for a target, you need to link summon it off, and you can just simply link summon it into this, and that gets it in the grave, giving you a target, and then you just discard Spirit of Yubel and then summon itself. And then you can get your combo going because Spirit of Yubel will then search you a spell or trap, which will usually be Nightmare Pain. I will be going into a combo video in one of my future uploads, so don't forget to subscribe for that and stay tuned. So up next we have Gustav Max. Gustav Max really does make OTKs easy with this deck, because all you need is 2 Yubels and a 3000 attack monster on your opponent's side of the field. With 2 Yubels and Nightmare Pain, that's 6000 damage from attacking with your 2 Yubels, and then main phase 2 you just overlay with Gustav Max and finish them off with 2000 damage. And trust me, this will be most of the way you'll be winning games. As for the rest of the extra deck, it's not yet set in stone like I said, but I'll just quickly go over them. So we have 4 generic Super Poly targets. This might be a bit too much, so probably cut down on these. We have some overlay XC shenanigans with Zeus and the new Zeus and another Gustav Max overlay. And we have 2 more generic Link monsters. So the side deck has a similar situation, but this is partly because I am a returning player and I'm still getting used to the meta. So I'm not quite confident with my side decking skills yet because I haven't had enough experience in this current meta. That being said, I'm pretty sure Kaijus are a very good side deck option for Yubel, and we go for the Kaiju with the highest attack for potentially more damage and easier OTKs. We have double Lightning Storm and a Harpy's Feather Duster for spell and trap card removal. And Drawn Lockbird, I have heard, is one of the best hand traps for this format, so we keep that in side deck. And then I couldn't really decide between Forbidden Droplet and Dark Ruler No More. Forbidden Droplet is useful because sometimes you can get around spell and trap omni-negations, which is one advantage Forbidden Droplet has over Dark Ruler No More. But otherwise, this Yubel deck can quite easily break your opponent's boards with Super Poly. Since neither player can activate cards in response to Super Poly, you can just wipe your opponent's board without them using any monster effects. The only problem is that you need to get Yubel on the field first, and if they have effects that can negate stuff, you might need the Dark Ruler or the Forbidden Droplet just to get started before you can Super Poly their board. So that's the deck profile, everyone. I'm pretty happy with the main deck, like I said, but I'm open to suggestions, and we'll probably be tweaking it with more playtesting. I definitely need some help finalizing the side and extra decks, so if you guys have some suggestions, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Also, thank you for the comments on my last video. It gave me some great ideas and discoveries with these new cards, so let's keep the discussion going down below. So thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like the video and stay tuned for more Yubel stuff in the future. and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.